Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we will be talking more about embracing change and turning transitions into transformations. And so join us today so that you can learn how to dive into and turn your transitions into transformations. Whether you're facing personal or professional shifts, this episode will equip you with the mindset and tools to embrace change as a pathway to growth. Discover how to navigate uncertainty with confidence, overcome fears of the unknown, and learn how to turn life's transitions into opportunities for alignment and empowerment. Tune in and start mastering the art of change today. Let's create a life you love together. Hi, I'm Nanci Deutsch. I am a licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive coach. And I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform your life. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So let's get back, and we have Allie in the house. So good morning, Allie. Welcome, Allie. Glad to see you, or see you're here. And as always, I love answering your questions, so you can always put the questions in the chat. And we're going to continue on. This is part 3 already. I can't believe it. And we're going to continue on how to really create those changes in yourself so that you can navigate transitions. And I have all about coping skills, because I know the last live show, I was getting a lot of questions about coping skills. So I heard you, and we're going to be talking about coping skills. And before we do, let's talk about transitions. What does it mean? How do you deal with it? And how can you look at transitions differently than maybe you have? Okay? Because bottom line is, when you're facing change and you're in the middle of this transition, the most important thing is what you're thinking, and what you're thinking about it, and how you're thinking about it. And if you start changing how you think about transitions, that could really help you in navigating transitions more easily, more effectively, more smoothly. Okay? So what I'd like you to think about is transitions are an opportunity for self-discovery. So what happens is, when you're facing a transition and it's an unknown, like when we are facing change, there's always uncertainty and there's an unknown factor. But if you look at the opportunity, and I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, the Chinese symbol for crisis And some people, when you're facing change or transitions, it could equal crisis. When you're facing change and transition, and crisis in Chinese, the same symbol is also the symbol for opportunity. So what if you were to define your change and transition as an opportunity? Opportunities, one, for self-growth. Because what happens is, we're in life. We're in Earth School, all right? We're all in Earth School together. And I know we've talked about this. There's different grades. Some of you may be in kindergarten and some of you may be in college, but it doesn't matter because we're all in it together, okay? So let's just remember that. So, but if you transitions are your opportunity for self-discovery and self-growth, because what happens is change is always certain. That's one thing that there is certain, is that there's always going to be change and transition. So how you handle the change and transition is going to make all the difference. Okay, so think about how it's an opportunity for self-discovery. And then during change and transition, it can be an opportunity for goals clarification. So because when you're in a change and transition, when you're in your 20s, it's going to be very different than when you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s. Okay. Or 90s, it depends, whatever, because the soul knows no age, but we change through the life cycle. And the transitions we face when we're younger are going to be different transitions that we face when we're older. However, I will say this, however, you may have similar feelings that occur when you're going through a change and a transition. And I will tell you that when you discover what change and transition means for you from when you were a child, because a lot of times if you're reacting to change and transition, it may be a reaction from your childhood. And I see, Misty, I see your question came in, and I'll get to it in a few moments. I want to describe the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the superconscious, because we're going to be talking about it today. Also, your conscious mind is what decided that you come here, that you ask questions, that you participate, whether you're listening and you're engaging and asking questions. Thank you, conscious mind of yours. It is the part of you that empowers you. And then you have your subconscious mind. From the moment you were conceived to present time, it is the part of you that is recorded every moment that you've been alive. And so every time you went through a change and a transition, when you were, and I'm even talking in utero, okay? Believe it or not, you could be picking up information on a subconscious level of change and transition that happened to you when you were in utero. It is possible. And so what happened for you then could be how you're still handling it now. Because if you don't heal the stuff going on in the subconscious mind, what we do is we continue to recreate the same trauma patterns, or the same issues keep repeating again and again, and how we handle change and transition. So if change and transition creates anxiety, and it creates fear, and it creates uncertainty, and here's the thing, and I want you all to know, we all have this, okay? You're not alone, all right? And we're going to be talking about coping skills, how to handle things more effectively, so that you are starting to be able to handle it in healthier ways. that will help you to keep moving forward, navigating change and transition. So your subconscious mind has recorded all of this, and it also has recorded ancestral and past life information and trauma. And so that could be affecting you too. Then you have your superconscious mind, which is your higher self, that unconditionally loving, wise part of you. And everyone has a higher self, and your soul, the core energy of light and love that you are. And you have your angels and your guides, your spirit guides. And you have all these beings of light that are surrounding you, helping you, supporting you. Okay, so I see these questions are coming in. So I'm going to get to the questions, okay? Misty, Mickey, and Anastasia. We'll start with Misty's. Just what can we discover, and is the discovery different at different ages? So what happens is that at different ages, you're not the same you were. You're not the same you were when you were younger. Even if you're in your 20s, you're not the same person you were when you were a teenager or in elementary school. So just know, with age, no matter how old you are, comes wisdom, comes learning, comes knowledge, comes information. And so you can handle things differently. And also comes choice. And I want to all remind you, that's the power of your conscious mind. It's making those conscious choices. Do I want to handle things the way I used to, or do I want to change how I handle them? And so as you get older, you have more wisdom, you have more information, and you may be better at becoming aware that you're in fear or anxiety. You're feeling really stressed out. What do you need to do? What kind of things can you do to help yourself to deal with this moment? Whereas when you were in your teens or early 20s, you had no clue. I mean, and I do want to say there are some teens and 20s, they're wise souls. Okay. They're already in high school or college, and because there's a lot of kids and coming onto the planet now to help us in these transitions. But a lot of them are, people, all of us, we're all learning. We're all in it together. So no matter what age the soul is, if you're an advanced soul or a younger soul, you're still learning. We're here on the planet together. Some of us decided to come to help, and some of us to heal, and some of us to we all decided to be part of the changes and the transitions of what's happening on the planet now. And yes, there are many. Okay. So through the years, you're going to handle things differently at different ages. And so really what I support all of you in doing, and Misty, what I support you in doing, is looking at, you can even look at the difference of who you were when you were in your 20s. And I'm assuming that you're older, because I really don't know how old you are. And now the age that you are. And maybe you're younger. I don't know. But anyway, I want you to know that you're going to handle things differently. But the bottom line is, no matter what age you are, because this podcast is for everybody, because everybody who wants to live an inspired and empowered life, this is for you. And no matter what age you are, this is about becoming consciously aware of what's happening for you in the moment, and then being able to start changing and making a change in being able to move forward. Okay. And you all have it, no matter how old you are, you all have the ability to become conscious and aware and make a conscious decision. What am I choosing in this moment? And if the choice is for health and moving forward in health and becoming healthier, then that's what you can do. And we're going to talk more about that shortly. So hopefully, Misty, that answered your questions. If it didn't, feel free to ask another. Mickey asked, what can change and transitions mean for us? So what can change and transitions mean for us? So change and transitions, it's, again, I want to remind you, it's all how you define it. It's all how you think about it. And I also want to let you know, it's also what you learned as a child. So, for example, let's say you were a child, and I have several clients that when they were in elementary school, so it was 9, 10, 11, when they were in school, they were popular and they had lots of friends and they loved where they lived, and their family then had to move. And so their family moved. And after they moved, they felt they didn't know how to make friends. And they started withdrawing, and they started feeling more anxious and nervous. And so for them, when they face change and then they started, now here's the thing. I also want you to know, if you grew up in a healthier family and you were able to talk about the things that were happening and what were feeling for you, you may have had an easier time with change and transition. However, most of us grew up in families where healthy communication, communicating about our thoughts and our feelings, was not even heard of. Our parents had no clue because they didn't know. Because what we've been doing generation after generation after generation is basically just surviving. And so most of us never learned good, healthy survival coping skills, like expressing yourself and talking and processing through what you're feeling, what's happening for you. That would be an example of a healthy coping skill. And so what happened was they were really popular, and then they moved, and then they didn't know how to make friends, and this is several clients that I've had, and they definitely had, or then they were starting to be bullied. So what that happened was that created trauma. And so when they think about change and transition now, then it brings up anxiety and fear and uncertainty, because their nervous system, because what happens when we have trauma, it goes into our nervous system. It doesn't disappear. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you haven't processed through what you needed to at the time of the change and transition, you have a lot of unprocessed emotions and thoughts and feelings. And what happens is those can still affect you. And that's why going back to trying to help yourself heal and feel better and using healthy coping skills is really important when you're navigating change and transition. So, Nikki, hopefully I answered your question. And bottom line is, this is about being able to keep working on taking care of yourself through changes and transitions. And another is learning how to be more adaptable and resilient through change and transition. It's finding a way to expand your skill sets. That's what we're going to be talking more about, coping skills. And it can give you new opportunities and perspectives. Change and transition. It's an opportunity to let go of limiting beliefs that you had perhaps from when you were a kid. And now you have, it's learning how to let those go. And it can help you to strengthen. Change and transition can be a time to help you to strengthen your relationships, really connecting and making deeper connections with those that you love can be really powerful and important. And it can bring you to a whole new level of who you are and your power, taking your power back and helping you to align with your true purpose. So that's the power of change and transition and redefining how you see, view, hear, think about, really allow yourself to experience transitions. Okay, so let's get to Anastasia's question. Anastasia said, why do some people cope better than others? And how do we get better with coping? Okay, so some people cope better than others is either A, they've learned healthy coping skills when they were younger, or they have learned it through as they have grown, or they have more of a, they may have less trauma, and they may be more resilient, more able to bounce back more easily when change and transition happens. And the bottom line is really about learning new tools, new skills. You know I'm always talking about breath. Breath is the primary first skill that you can learn, is learning to take deep breaths, because that can help you calm your nervous system down immediately. So people who are using their coping skills, healthy coping skills, will deal with stress and change and transitions better. People who are working on themselves, personal growth, and also depending on the amount of trauma. If you've had a lot of trauma, okay, what happens with the nature of trauma is it affects your nervous system. And when you have trauma, your nervous system can get easily overloaded. And so learning how to be able to use healthy coping skills through the transitions is really important and really powerful. So that is really, so it's really about what you've learned, and also what you learned as a child about change and transition. What was it talked about in your family? Were your parents nervous and anxious about the changes and the transitions they had to make? Because you may have learned skills and coping skills, or unhealthy coping skills. I have clients that have learned a lot of unhealthy coping skills from their parents. So all of that are questions to ask yourself. How did my parents handle it? Because I will tell you, it gets passed down through generations. So that's another thing to look at. Okay. So let me know, Anastasia, if that helped, or if there's any other questions around that. Okay. Charles says, wisdom is questionable. What one thinks is wisdom, another may think is not smart. Well, the way that I would define wisdom is being able to, it's when you have certain experience. I believe wisdom, to me, is a soul given quality. It's a soul quality. Okay. So I'm not talking about wisdom from the ego. I'm talking about wisdom from the soul. So let me describe what I mean by that, because that sounds different. What I mean by that is, you're not coming from your ego. You're coming from a soul place. And soul wisdom is learning from the experiences that you have had and integrating those experiences so that you are living your life in a healthier, more balanced way because of the wisdom that you now have. So let me give you an example. So let's take an example of what I was talking about, a client. Okay. Let's say Mindy. All right. So Mindy, when she was a child, she was the one who she was really popular. And then when she moved with her family to another location, she couldn't make friends. And she had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. And she was handling change and transitions with anxiety. And so what happened was Mindy and I started working on coping skills. We started talking about different things that she could do to help herself, like learning how to breathe and learning other tools like journal writing, because journal writing is another coping skill. Okay. And so she was processing some of the trauma that she had when she was a child. And then she began to, as she got healthier, and we did inner child work. And inner child work is working with that part of you that has been traumatized, that has had the challenges and the issues. And like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. Well, I will just share and then I'll get back to Mindy. This morning I woke up and I could feel that I was processing something, and I could tell it was my 11-year-old. And so what I did was I did some inner child work to help my 11-year-old feel safer and feel better. And it definitely shifted my energy. Now, with Mindy, we did inner child work and we did different things that helped her to start feeling calmer, less stressed, less anxious. And she started making more friends. So what happened was she, through the work that we did, she gained wisdom. She gained understanding of when she gets triggered, like when she goes to a new class, like she takes classes, and when she goes to a new class, in like immediately she may go to, oh, I don't know how to make friends, and she starts withdrawing and getting small instead of. And then what happens? She uses her conscious mind that empowers her and she becomes aware. This is all wisdom from learning experience. Then she becomes aware. Oh, I'm going into a default pattern. I'm going into what happened when I was 9 years old. I don't have to do that anymore. I am going to be choosing to be friendly and say hello to people. And sure enough, she ends up being friendly and connecting with people, and their people are responding to her. So she's not following the same pattern. So that's an example of wisdom, is learning new patterns, new behaviors, new skills, and applying them to be healthier. That's part of soul wisdom. That's how I would describe wisdom. So, Charles, hopefully that was helpful. If you have any other questions around it, let me know. Okay. Let's see. Where are we up to? Country Corners Gazette. It seems like things are changing all through life, no matter what we do, and we need to manage with the changes. Yes. So, the bottom line is change is constant. It's the only thing that is ever constant is change. And the more that you can learn to really grow with the changes and cope with the changes, the more you will be able to navigate change and transition more smoothly and turn those transitions into transformations. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is learning how to redefine how you think. It's learning how to take care of that part of you that was really scared and alone during change. That's a lot of times that's what's happened. You learned change can be really scary if you go into anxiety, or you could be going into anger because maybe you got bullied, which a lot of us did because of change. And so if you got bullied, one of your reactions is to fight. That's part of the stress reaction. And if you're a fighter and you go into fight, then wisdom would be to say, this is an old reaction. I don't have to go there anymore. And to start using healthy coping skills and tools. It's positive self-talk is one of the most important, powerful coping skills you have. Okay, so positive self-talk. It's changing how you view something, how you see something, how you hear it. If you're auditory and you hear, those critical voice in your mind, or you're hearing negative comments, even outside of you, you don't have to react to them. Because what happens is when you feel empowered inside of you, you can feel yourself. Yeah, breathing, grounding, these are all coping skills. Breathing, grounding, reframing how you're looking at something, positive self-talk. All of those are important coping skills. And so, Post Country Corners Gazette's question again. So, yes. So bottom line is it's learning how to manage the changes, learning how to manage the transitions in healthier ways. That's coping skills. So far during the show, I talked about breathing as a coping skill, deeper breathing, because what happens when you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're angry, when you're in that mode, you will constrict your breath. As soon as you start deep breathing, it helps your body, it helps your nervous system calm down. Really important skill. We talked about journaling, positive self-talk. Those are all healthy coping skills. Yes, I can talk. Healthy coping skills. Okay. So before we get to the next question, which is Misty's, I want to share with you that I am having a masterclass, another 3-day masterclass, Freedom and Fulfillment, 3 steps to grow your thriving holistic business. So if you're a woman coach, healer, therapist, or helping professional, you can join us for free. And what we're going to be doing is talking about how to discover your soul's calling. If you're not clear or you're feeling like you want to know and understand your soul's calling more, then you want to be there, because we're going to be, and if you are already doing it, it's about taking your work, your business to the next levels. The next is learn how to break free from limiting beliefs that keep you from earning more money. And so we're going to be talking about increasing your confidence and really clearing those limiting beliefs, and how to clear. What do you need to do to become aware and then to clear them? And finally, on the last day, we're going to get into action so that you can learn how to make more money and turn your dreams into a reality. Crafting an action plan. So it's 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, November 18th, 19th, and 20th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And Rebel, please post the link in the chat. And the link is, it's the name of the show, Inspired and Empowered Living.com/masterclass. Master class. So inspired and empowered living.com/masterclass. So join us and definitely learn more about how you can grow a thriving holistic business. All right. So now, okay, we got more questions. All right, let's go to that. Wait, post the question again. We're up to Misty's, yeah. At what point does the past stop playing a controlling part in our lives? So what the part is when you have healed yourself and you've healed the trauma, the limiting beliefs, the emotions, it doesn't have to keep replaying. And that is why I'm always talking about how important it is to go to people. Because honestly, I will tell you from my own experience, and I've had a lot of trauma, okay? You're talking to someone who has had tremendous trauma, and I'm still processing it. I still have physical health issues. I know last week or last live show, somebody asked, how does it affect the body? It affects the body. So I have had chronic conditions from when I was a kid till adulthood. And it definitely still affects me. And so know that I continue to heal the trauma. I'm continuing. I'm still in the process. And I really believe, okay, so you cannot be so reactive to your past. You'll know when you're healing the past when you're not reacting in the same ways. And so clients like Mindy, what happened was, like, for example, if she was still reacting to her trauma, she would have stayed in that small space. When she entered a new class, she would have stayed small instead of talking to herself and saying, you know what? I'm not going to go there, because that shows that she healed. So I really want you all to know healing is possible. It is part of the journey. It's part of the journey here. We're all in this earth classroom together, and that is learning how to heal yourself and using coping skills, gaining wisdom. All of that is part of the journey. And know that you can do it. No matter how young or old you are, you can always learn new skills, new possibilities, new tools for changing how you handle the past, how you handle the present, so that you don't let the past keep affecting you. So know that as you heal that past and you keep working on healing it, then you see the changes in your present. So hopefully that helps, Misty, and we'll continue on. And let's go to the next question. Charles asks, at what point in life will things become easier to deal with changes? So the point in life when things become easier is as you heal. As you heal those times and places as you allow yourself to use new coping skills. Okay, so again, coping skills like breathing, positive self-talk, really important. Journaling, letting out what's going on for you. See, part of what you need to be doing is letting out the limiting beliefs and the emotions. When you're letting out those limiting beliefs and emotions and you're changing those patterns, that will help you change how you cope. And it will help you change those patterns. And so, really, I just really want you to know this is a lifelong learning, and we're all in it together. And I think that because as we navigate new changes and new stresses and new transitions, and even if they're similar to what was, they're also new too. And so it's really using those coping skills, especially the breath, the positive self-talk, and learning how to keep working with yourself, and definitely to keep moving through the changes in healthy, positive ways. Okay. It is a lifelong journey. So I see that we still have a lot of questions that came in. So what I'm going to do, I want to make sure, I know we have a question from Anastasia, Mickey, and I want to be able to answer your questions in a way that really satisfies you and really helps, because your questions really make a difference for you and other people and all of you. I'm so grateful to you asking your questions. So thank you, because that helps me to know where everybody is and what you need. And I just want you to know I really appreciate all of you who are viewing or listening live, and all of you who are listening or viewing later. So I appreciate all of you. So we're going to continue this. This is such a huge topic, obviously, and there's still so much more that I want to share with you. And I want to answer the questions because those questions are really important. So to be continued. Okay. We're going to continue it more next class. Rebel put a master class. Next show, next week. Okay. So, and definitely you can sign up for my masterclass, inspired and empowered living.com/masterclass. Join us. Definitely you want to join us. And definitely we're going to be continuing on how to really help you to embrace change and turn transitions into transformations, part 4. And so join us next week, next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And then we're also on the podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And so I really want to support all of you in taking time to breathe and taking time to listen to what you're thinking. Positive self-talk. How are you thinking? And really allowing yourself to know that change and transition can equal opportunity. And so with that, I wish you an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.